Hello everyone! Welcome back to Drawn by Annie channel. This is me, Annie, and I will be drawing for you today. Grab your tea, coffee and snacks and let's dive into today's video. It wasn't long since we last saw each other, but here I am again, working on the part 2 of the Madoka style study. In today's drawing, I'm going to color the My Style part of the style study case. So in the first part, I have colored and talked about how the original art style looks like and what I have observed and noticed with that. So if you haven't seen that one, go check it out on my channel. And I'm diving right into the coloring of my version of Madoka's shocked face. The main and first difference that I'm going to do is to use a little bit more saturated color palette, even though the most tints are the same that I used in the first drawing, but I will add some contrast to it with more pinkish tints. And also I'm gonna do a more dramatic shading, if I may say that. The general idea that I went with, I wanted to add more contrast because I guess it adds to the dramatism of the scene, because darker shadows implement darker emotions in my view. And also I'm going to change the shape of the shade on her face a little bit, and I'm also gonna add more pink colors to her pale face because that's what I feel like. Well, maybe for this specific context it wasn't really appropriate, but I still decided to go with it. I tend to choose more bright colors and more vivid colors generally in my artworks, so I decided that this is like a feature of my art and I didn't want to remove that. Actually, I think it would even add more layers to the dramatism of the show if it was a little bit more saturated, you know, and then suddenly with the traumatizing events that are happening during this scene, it would be quite disturbing to have such, you know, colorful and wonderful magical girl vibe meet the reality of witch hunting and the dangers of the world. I don't know, I hope that makes sense to you. And since I think Madoka is a very kind and soft character, I decided I would shape her a little bit more round, because I feel like round shapes give this innocence vibe, and that's exactly what she is like. She's very kind and innocent person. So I made her eyes rounder and also her shape of the face in general also a bit rounder, and also changed her nose shape a little bit into more detailed one. In general, I'm trying to repeat the pattern of placing shadows in the same spots with the original artwork. I only put a little more shades to her face because I feel like the light source is above her head and the nose will cast a bigger shadow on that spot, so I'm kind of going ahead and making it a little bit more shaded in that place. Maybe this is a bit too much, but I don't know. What do you think? You can let me know down in the comments. After I'm done with the skin colors, I'm placing some base color to the hair and shadows of the hair, as well as Madoka's clothing. And I'm not changing the patterns of placing shades on her shirt and her hairs because I really like how it looks already, so I'm not giving changes to that. But notice how even without line art, with this shading, it's enough to read the shape and form of the character. And if it wasn't for the joy of making line art, I think it would be very easy to keep it that way and it would still look complete and appropriate. But in this case, I'm not gonna do that because I love doing line art, so line art it is. But before that, I actually wanted to experiment a little bit. You remember my first video of the year? If you haven't, go check it out on my channel, please. This will give you some context to what I'm going to say next. So I was really impressed on how many artists are actually mixing alcohol-based markers and Prismacolor colored pencils together, and how actually perfect and well it combines and looks amazing, and it's like completing each other, if that makes sense. And if in first part I wanted to keep it as close to original as possible and give like as little detalization and texturizing the artwork as possible, in this case I want to do exactly the opposite, and I want to use more medium to add to creativeness of this piece. pencils. And now I really want to make it look more textured, but this is the sketchbook that's meant for mixed medium and it doesn't have much texture on the paper. It's pretty plain, I must say. Not glossy, but still pretty plain. And that's what I'm usually going for textured paper if I really want to make a textured artwork, but not in this case. So the other ways to add some texture to your drawing, you can use more mediums, especially the ones that have some texture in themselves, like oil pastels or like paints or gouache, for example, but also colored pencils, the option that I went for here. So one thing, I want to add the textureness to the artwork, and the other one, I also want to saturate the shades. So I'm using completely different colors on top of the alcohol base markers, base colors and shades. For example, when I'm putting the purple color on the shadows on her pink hair, it actually gives this reflected light effect and adds a little bit of glowiness, if that makes sense. And I really like how it looks like. And I'm only putting pencil to the darkest part, if that makes sense. Like there is some places that are more in shadow than the others. So there's like a highlighted place, the lightest one, the normal base color without any highlight or shadow. And then there is like half shadow and full shadow thing. So I'm putting pencil to the places where I think the full shadow would be. And that's usually the spot where reflective light is also showing. For the skin, I also added some pencils there, but using the darker red color and a little bit of pink just to saturate the shadow on the skin. And I've also seen a nice tutorial for digital art actually, but I still decided I would use this principle in my traditional artwork. So basically, if you add some saturated color right on the edge of the shadow, it's going to make it seem more realistic. So I took the bright yellow color and I traced around the edges of the shadows on the Madoka's clothing, and look how the effect actually goes right in. It looks like it's filtered now, but it's actually not, it's just pencil. I don't know, I'm pretty impressed on how pencil detailing like this actually enhances the artwork so much, even though it's barely seen. I think if I put it right beside next to each other, like before and after, it would be very obvious, but now after the finishing, it cannot really be unseen, you know? It feels like it's so natural here. So yeah, I'm definitely implementing this technique to my rest of the artworks because I really like how it looks. I mean, I could go ahead and just add the same layer of pencils to every other artwork that I've made, but it's just gonna take me forever to do so. So I think I'm just gonna improve the future artworks. Now for the line art, I'm going firstly the same way as I did in part 1. So I'm going with very thin fine liner and making it very, very subtle. It looks okay, and it looks like it would suit like an anime show if I was an animator, but I'm not an animator, I'm an illustrator. So I'm going ahead again with the same fine liner and improving the line weight. So I'm adding more thickness here and there, especially in the shaded areas and in the places where things are connecting together, you know, so it will give more volume and give away this 3D feeling. And after that, I think it will feel way more completed than it is before doing that. And of course the eyelashes, yeah, always making thick lines on the eyelashes. This is a must, at least for me. You do you. And here is the finished result. It is quite different from the original art style, way more saturated and a little bit more stylized and detailed. But I really like how observing the original artwork and art style has highlighted places where I can improve my own artworks or simplify if I need them to be a little more simpler. But honestly, I tend to overwhelm my artworks with more detailing and coloring and stuff. So it's really nice to try and draw something simpler from time to time and practice that, I don't know how you call it, like a simplicity feeling feeling or like minimalistic style. I don't know. It's usually not in my character, but it's a very useful skill to have, you know, to be able not to overwhelm your artworks with details. That's what I mean. But anyway, thank you very much for joining me in this style studying. I hope it was useful and insightful for you. And honestly, I really enjoyed doing it. And I totally like this sketchbook spread. It's like one of my favorites for now. I don't know about future. Maybe I will make something that I will like even more. If you like my work and you want to support what I do, you can like and subscribe to this channel. Check out my other social media. Maybe leave a few comments or share with a few friends of yours. I will be very grateful and it will mean a world to me. I wish you stay healthy, wealthy and happy, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye!